Welcome to the 𝗏𝗏𝙗 podcast with Andrea Cox, the only plant-based astrology podcast focusing on hermetic principles, cellular detoxification, and mystery teachings. Andrea's interviews include her celebrity clients, NBA ball players, musical composers, detoxification specialists, and world-renowned healers just like Andrea. Andrea is a model-turned-celebrity detox specialist, intuitive healer, and holistic wellness and life coach. You will find only authentic people interviewed on this podcast. Real recognizes real. Andrea prides herself on only inviting those who are uniquely creative.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 𝗏𝗏𝙗 podcast. I am so excited. Today we have on Andrea Logan White. Andrea Logan, born outside Chicago and raised in a dysfunctional home, turned her struggles into strength. Starting work at 12 and caring for her younger brother, after high school, she moved to San Diego and fell in love with acting. Later relocating to LA with dreams but faced a tragic downturn. A transformative moment with God shifted her path, leading her to work various jobs, becoming a certified personal trainer and co-founder of 𝗃𝗄𝗄 Entertainment. Despite battling Lyme disease, she raised 3 children and gained fame through films like 𝗬𝗎𝗄𝗏 and Mom's Night Out, and TV shows such as Hitting the Brakes. Her book, Perfectly Unfinished, I love that name, shares her journey of faith and resilience, inspiring women globally. Andrea continues to mentor, produce content, and help others with empathy and passion. Andrea, we're gonna have to edit this, I'm sorry. Andrea continues to produce with her production company, Prodigal Blonde Pictures, what a cool name, and is currently working on a docu-series drama, Wellness Line, as well as authoring more books. She is passionate about helping others become the best versions of themselves. With unconditional love, empathy, and compassion. She resides in Los Angeles with her 3 greatest accomplishments, her 3 children. How many times am I gonna have to redo that after this? And I will. Andrea, welcome. So let's just tell our audience that I am having an out-of-body fangirl moment here because I literally am such a fan. I am so grateful for you being here. I have 2 broken nails. I was like, but I can't be late. And you got the black and white memo. I'm having a fangirl moment right here and right now. So my assistant knows, like she's on here. Say hi, Mushy. We can have all this in there. Say hi, Mushy. Hi. So she knows that I was like, okay, everything has to be perfect. And if it's not, I'm gonna go like a crazy woman. Okay, how are you?
I'm so good. And just so you know, I am such a fan of yours and I love your platform, your transparency, your authenticity, you're real, you're raw, and let's just be honest, look at you. You are a supermodel, and I just love that you're very open with your life and everything you've walked through. So thank you. I am so honored.
And you know, I have to say, I watched you transition into the home you're in now, and it's so beautiful. You demoed that, right? Or you took a lot of things and redid them and made it your own.
Yes. So that was, I needed light and rebuilding my life from square one, going through a divorce at 39 over 5 years ago. I really wanted light. I wanted to start over. And I've made this little home ours with my 3 kids. And I'm just really grateful, really, really grateful to have a blank canvas and to be able to start over.
Yeah. And, you know, I did a little research. I didn't want to dig too deep, but I came across a video last night, and I have to say it was about 3 years ago, and it was, you were going to some type of red carpet event and you were with your husband at the time, and a nice young lady stopped the 2 of you to interview you. And I could tell that you were going through something And you carried yourself through that interview with such grace and such class and such dignity. And they were asking you about your marriage and your relationship. And I think you said, well, there's challenges. and I could feel your pain, but I also could feel you said, my husband loves God and that's all that matters. And so since then, you have went through a divorce. And one of the things I admire so much about you is your parenting techniques. Your kids are plastered all over social media. If they have a birthday or an event or a graduation, you honor them. But I love that you have, I don't want to say kept your children kind of in the shadows, but you living in LA, from what I can see, you're not making money off your kids. You're not putting your kids in and I love that. So tell me how that came about.
Thank you so much. It's a definitely this beautiful dance, and David and I still co-parent very well. We have the same morals and values, and I don't wish divorce on anybody and any child. And I'm a product of divorce and also a product of eating disorders and an identity crisis, right? Because when we don't have our foundation on the love that God has given us and who we are in Him, the creator of this universe, it's really hard. And Hollywood is very opposite of how we should live, how we should raise our children, how we should raise our family. So I really want to protect them and raise them in a way that teaches them values, but also I don't put my faith on them. I'm grateful that they go to a Christian school that is a foundational. I grew up in public school outside of Chicago, so I did everything that I hope that my kids don't walk through. But I'm also there. I said, I don't ever want you to hide from me, and I'll be right there to pick you up. So I'm a very, what would you say, a parent that is aware of the journey that we all go through and really want them to know that I love them unconditionally through thick and through thin. And, their journey is their own. I can guide them and shepherd them. Protecting them from Hollywood is something I've seen it do some very evil things upon friends of mine, youth, children. We see, if you grab them at an age and the grooming, as we see it all coming out, right? With these men and also women grooming these children and brainwashing them. I want to teach them and give them the tools, but also give them their anonymity. I don't think it's fair to kids to throw them on social media if they don't want to be. And thankfully, my kids are pretty shy. They don't really want to be on social media. And you know what? I'm grateful. I'm so grateful that they don't need that validation from outside circumstances to feel like they are enough.
Yeah. I noticed that there's just everything you do is so beautiful. From the theme of your Instagram, I think you make everyone want to redo their Instagram and design. I'm like, oh my gosh, like her color scheme, her this, her clothes, her house. We love her. And so, what I noticed with you is it's a similarity to my sister, who is also a Cancer. I believe you were born in July or June. When were you born? July?
End of July. So I'm actually a Leo, July 29th.
Oh, are you? Okay. But you're so sweet and loving and motherly that I don't know. I just see in you. My dogs even come over when they hear your voice. But what I noticed with you was something very similar to my sister, Cassandra, who is very high up in the corporate world. And, my nephew graduated at the head of his class, and he's now in a gifted program, like pre-med or something. Wow. And she had the same kind of parenting style as you, very loving, very open, very watchful, discerning eye. And we never really saw a lot of my nephew on social media unless it was his birthday or something like that. And I think that's amazing and so rare in Hollywood. And that was one thing I noticed about you years ago. I was like, wow, she's such a beautiful mother, and the way she parents is so graceful and so classy. And I also notice whenever, because I stalk you, whenever your kids are going anywhere, you're driving them. You don't have a driver, you don't have anyone else. Whenever you're on a walk, usually one or both of them are accompanying you. So I love that. And I love that when they're at the pool with their friends, you're at the pool with them. There's not a nanny there. And I'm just like, this woman is, so where do you find the time?
Well, I always say I'll sleep when I get to heaven. And I'm the last one to go to bed, the first one awake. And I do love my little power naps. But honestly, Andrea, it was me being that age, having a mom that was single, working all the time. And I felt like I was never seen, heard, or loved. And that is not, I don't blame anybody. I know that every person, my mom was an incredible mom for doing what she could do. We grew up with no money, didn't go to private school. So our kids need to be driven to school. And my David and I, their dad, we gratefully, we are so grateful that we get this time. My son, my oldest, will be 18 in a few weeks. So I feel like I birthed him yesterday. And I really want to cherish those moments because I know after they're out of the house, I will have that time where I can have a partner and travel and do all the things. But for me, my parenting comes from what I didn't have. And maybe I'm overbearing, maybe I'm too attentive, maybe I'm probably too motherly to a fault, but I just want my kids to know that nobody will replace them. They're irreplaceable. And I really tried to do my best. Do I have balance in parenting? Probably not, but I'm very open with what I did and the mistakes that I've walked through in my teen years. And so I want them to know that it's not easy, to be honest. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of effort. And listen, anybody can have children, but to actually have children and to raise them in a way that is respectful towards adults is a whole nother story. And then actually they know how to interact and have social skills and emotional intelligence. It's not easy. And my kids are not easy kids to parent. And I think that that's a blessing because I think we all have, it just goes back to looking in the mirror myself, and they are my greatest teachers. I'm learning from them. And whether you're in a relationship, whether you're nurturing dogs and mothering children, it takes a selfless heart to do it. And I'm constantly learning. I wish I could be perfect at it, but my gosh, I have so far to go.
Oh my gosh. Well, it looks pretty perfect to me. And, you can tell by your children. Anyone can put on like a facade on social media, but you can tell by your kids, the small amount I've seen of your kids, they beam with the love of Jesus. They beam light, and that shows. So it's kind of something that you really can't hide, especially from, us that are very intuitive. We see through all the facades, and your children just carry the beautiful love of God that you have. And I wanted to ask you, were you raised in the church or did that come later?
I was not. I was baptized Greek Orthodox. So I would go to my church with my dad. They would speak in Greek, which I didn't understand. And then my mom would take us to a local Methodist church. But God was I didn't know that it was about a relationship with Jesus. Like I didn't know that I could have a relationship like I'm having with you, this beautiful friendship that takes connection and time. And I didn't know that until I hit rock bottom. It was sex and drugs and celebrities and Hollywood and trying to pursue my dreams. And it was so empty and meaningless. And I wanted to take my life. And I cried out to God, and I had my come to Jesus moment in Hollywood, really, because I realized that there was nothing outside of me or this world that could ever satisfy me. So it was really my rock bottom moment. So I had tastes of God, and my grandparents were very strong, loyal Christian Lutherans, but there was, there's a difference of just having a religion versus a relationship, which is why I think having a relationship with our Creator is the most beautiful thing. And it's not something that a lot of people quite understand, because God loves all of us. We're all his kids, right? So.
Right. And how old were you when that happened? And did it happen more than once? Because I have my own come to Jesus moment, and some of us are stubborn like me, and it happens and it happens more than once. So how old were you when the last time where it really sank in and you're like, okay, that's it. This is the answer. God is the answer, and there is no other way. How old were you? Was that before your children?
That was before my children. But, I have to agree with you, because our relationship with ourselves and with God is constantly changing. So I had my radical moment at age 21. I mean, I was experimenting with everything under the sun. I was dating 3 men. I was, it was awful. And I realized from that moment, I went from partying at the Playboy Mansion to turtlenecks and worshiping Jesus in the backseat of a church, where I was was it 360 or no, 180, 180 to a radical change. But looking into that, I was a Christian for a few years. God kind of got my life back in order. I got my priorities right, and I was hustling. But then I met my then husband, and we only literally dated, got engaged within 6 months, within 1 year to the day, was celibate, and got married. And I look back, and that was way too quick. That was way too fast. So then fast forward, got married at 24 and ended up being in a beautiful but messy, hard marriage for 17 years. And then 3 years into that marriage, I had Ethan. So then I was constantly changing and evolving as a person. And when you're in a relationship, that relationship with God changes. And I know that I'm probably not making sense, but since the divorce, I feel like I've come back to Jesus, because I've not had anybody to rely on. I've had to trust God. I mean, I moved to Hollywood the day after I turned 20 with $350 in my bank account. And I just hustled, and I waited tables, and I worked at a bikini bar, and I was doing things that wasn't matching my identity. But then going through a divorce at 39, I was like, I don't have any skills. I've been mothering and raising children and doing pure flicks entertainment films, where even in the Christian world, I feel like you can't put me in a box, because really we are all his unique creation. And sometimes people have these views of what Christians need to look like. And I'm not that. I'm very open and honest. And sometimes even in the church, I feel like many people feel like they have to hide themselves. And I'm like, no. Like, I am not for that. I am for open, and God says that he came to set us free and to give us an abundant life. And so that is a constant work that Andrea, my come to Jesus is every day. I have to come to Jesus every day. Let's be honest.
And you share that. And when I watch your stories on Instagram, it's this face you have when you're having one of those moments. It's like, okay, you guys, how's everyone doing? And it's not acting. It's really like you're having a moment. So I woke up at 3 a.m. Ethan's sick. This is going on. And I'm just like, gosh, it's noon and I'm not dressed. But Andrea has 3 kids and she's already gotten everyone off to school. I'm like, it's time to get up. Like, do you know you're motivating people like me and other people when we see it's 8 a.m. and you're on the way, or like, is it 7 a.m. and you're on the way to drop the kids off at school, and so has practice, and you have to go get an outfit for the middle one for this coming up, and you got your coffee in your hand, so we know you've made your coffee, and your hair looks great. And I'm like, I'm in what I slept in. This is not fair. Like, how is she doing this? Like, I love that about you. I love that organized, I'm going to say organized chaos, because you bring it in alignment in such a beautiful God-centered way. And you're living in Hollywood. And I'm sorry, but everyone there, I mean, they either have a staff or they have support. And you don't. And I love that. Does your dad live out there or no? Do you have any family out there?
So my dad's in San Diego. I lost my mom tragically 2 years ago to COVID pneumonia. So she passed away at 68. And then my dad's in San Diego. So honestly, I have a website guy, and that's it. Nobody, that is all I have.
I have Mushy, my assistant, and my dogs, and that's it. So, and a neighbor that comes down to remove snakes out of the garden when they show up. So can we talk about your mom? Because I know that, first of all, 68 is so young, and you were pretty close to her before that happened, weren't you?
So, speaking of you being an intuitive life coach, intuitive detox specialist, I feel like we are soul sisters, and the intuition that I've always had with my mom. And it was I was very close. She was my best friend, but it was complicated. I felt like she was more of like a sister than a mom, but nobody can replace the love of a mother. So I just accepted her for who she was. And she was the most selfless, giving woman on the planet, which she just didn't know how to use her voice or set boundaries. And so I can see that she was a people pleaser at heart, and she would put others before herself. But eventually I think that she just followed the love. So, she remarried and left us. We moved with our dad when I was 15. And that's when the eating disorder kicked in. And
I'm sure you feel her now, right? I'm sure you feel the energy and that she is with the Lord.
All the time. And, and that's really our faith walk is a journey, because it's okay to have doubt. It's okay. God knows our feelings, our thoughts, our emotions, and it's really processing them in a way that gives us freedom. And even, we learn how to love others and to really, I can't even tell you now that my gosh, we're about the same age. I'm nearly, been on this planet over 4+ decades. And I'm just grateful, because life is so short. And I really wake up every day and I'm like, Lord, thank you for today. None of us are promised tomorrow. So it gets back to being of service and loving people well. We're going to make mistakes. We're going to screw up every day, but it's just like, I'm like, Lord, what is it that you've called me to do? I will do anything. I'll do anything. And I will do anything to give you glory. But I just want to do it well. And I want to help others.
I love that. I want to talk a little bit about health, but both the dogs it's like, I have Mother Teresa on this podcast, and both the dogs have come. Lewis is like licking my thigh, and Maverick's here almost toppling hang on, you guys. Because
oh my gosh, I love it.
You're like a fairy. You come to the garden and all the animals, butterflies come shoot down. There's birds land on the ceiling fan. I want to talk about health. And do you have a fitness routine you do? Because your physique is like phenomenal. You've had 3 children. When I shared that I was having you on the podcast, 2 people asked me if you had a surrogate. I don't know if you had a surrogate. Did you have a surrogate? I mean, I have to ask. So you actually so you gave birth to all 3 children. So you guys don't email me. She actually went through the birthing process, carried them for 9 months. So what do you do for fitness? Because you look great. Do you work out?
Oh my gosh.
Imagine it's hard to get to the gym.
I don't go to the gym. So here's the funny thing.
Of course she doesn't go to the gym. She doesn't have a trainer. Okay, tell us, please. As my waistband comes undone because of my pudginess, tell us how you keep in shape.
And by the way, we have so much we need to exchange, because I need to know how you get this beautiful mane.
Oh
I mean, my God.
Mane is like being tamed with 17 bobby pins. Half of it's pinned behind my thank you. You're so sweet. Thank you.
Oh my goodness. Gorgeous. So very simple. In fact, I just released today on my website, AndreaLogan.life. I have 15 minutes for busy women. It's just a fitness guide. It's just little circuit training. So I learned everything. It's funny enough, when I was younger, the harder I worked out, I would do kickboxing, I would do weightlifting, I would do spinning. My cortisol was so high that I was probably an extra 10 to 15 pounds just with fluid and inflammation. So I am very simple, Andrea. I walk. I have this beautiful little neighborhood in Thousand Oaks. So I live in the mountains. I walk every day. So I make sure vitamin D, as you know, is so important. Getting outside, getting on the earth, walking. And sometimes I'll do 30 minutes. Sometimes I do 15 minutes. I did 15 minutes this morning before I jumped on the podcast. I'm certified in also yoga. So I do yoga, some mat Pilates. I'm 95% plant-based. I love fresh food. I mean, I was the weirdo at McDonald's when I was a kid wanting the salad. Mm-hmm. I crave, I was raw vegan at 21, and then the kind of the eating disorders. So I'm very careful. I use gentle nutrition, gentle exercise, a lot of connection and intuition when it comes to my body. If I need to sleep, I sleep. If I need to move, I move. And for me, when I work out, it's really more of a mental, I do it for my mental health. Now, being in my 40s, I am adding resistance training. So I'll put on my ankle weights. So if I go walking, I'll put on ankle weights because we age.
So cute, by the way. She rocks ankle weights like a 20-carat diamond. I mean, I saw that the other day. I forget if it was in a video or a picture. And I'm like, are those ankle? You look
Jane
like
Fonda.
a 1980s. Yes. Like it's just everything she did. Just go follow her on Instagram. It's tell us your Instagram again too, by since I mentioned it. It's happily
ever Andy with a Y. So happily ever Andy.
Okay. Now, does your family call you Andy?
Yes, my dad calls me Andy, and I was always so against it.
And I'm Andy in my family. Andy, like Andre, Andy and Andy. See, we've got clarity.
And your sister's name is Cassandra. Like I said, my dad wanted me to name me Cassandra. My mom wanted to name me Andrea. So there we go.
I love that. I love that. So you'll do the ankle weights now, and you'll do some of that. Okay.
I do what I can. I mean, it's also coming from training celebrities, and you can't, when you're on set, you're working 16-hour days, and this, 85% of our body it comes from the kitchen. It's in the kitchen. It's really about what we put in. And I don't eat perfectly. I don't quote unquote diet. I love my dark chocolate. I love certain things, but I also really coming through I abused myself with food for so long. We have a very similar background with eating disorders, that I just now have come to a point of eating things that make me feel good, not feel good in the moment, feel good the next day. So if I know I want to eat something, I know I might have to pay for it the next day, meaning I might be bloated, my skin might break out, my stomach might hurt, so it's really just coming to that place of what's the payoff? There's a cost.
Mm-hmm. So yeah. And it's so hard. I haven't been to the gym in like 3 months. And, I find that the older we get, that, I'm almost half a century old. The older we get, the less we do. It just pays off in our skin, in our, and that I want to ask you also, how do you feel about, you live in Hollywood, Botox, the fillers, things like that. How do you feel about all of that?
Gosh, I'm so glad you asked me, because aging is inevitable. Mm-hmm. So many people, I do not judge anybody for how they want to transform and alter and change their face. I didn't get Botox until I was 37, 38 years old. And now I am, I can't remember the last time I've gotten it. I feel like as women age, the less we do is more. Now, if you ask me, listen, I mean, I really I do the gua sha, I do the derma roller, I do the hyaluronic acid. I'm not against it, but again, it's another toxin. And I haven't, I went through something that maybe we'll have to do at a later podcast, or when I have you on my podcast. I haven't announced what I went through, but you know what I'm talking about a few months ago. I think there is so much pressure. And I'm trying to think like Michelle Pfeiffer, Diane Keaton. There's certain women that have gone through aging so gracefully and so beautifully. Meryl Streep, I'm kind of at that point where I'm like, I'm aware I'm not 25 and I don't want to look 25. Do I want to look, do we all want tight, like skin with lots of collagen? Yes. But as you know, I don't, first of all, how are you half a century old? And you know the secret to the fountain of youth. So I think maybe I'm going to flip that question back on you, because I think, do you do Botox? I mean, is that something?
I actually can't. I used to when I didn't need it. When I was in my 20s, I used to get it and I did it too much. And I formed an allergy. So what happens is I break out from a head to toe skin rash that looks like eczema. And so when I lived in San Diego, I went to an excellent Chinese medicine doctor, Dr. Sang Lee, I believe, in LA. She was like a 3-month wait, and she fire cupped me. And she basically said, these, and the Botox has to go. And so I stopped the Botox immediately, and the rash went away within a month. Yeah. I have a very sensitive, rare blood type. I'm Rh negative. I'm an A blood type. I get so sensitive. So if I got right in the camera right now and scrunched my forehead, you would be in shock. Like there are wrinkles galore when I, make the face, but I'm okay with it. I wasn't okay with it at first. It was like a big deal for me. I looked in and I got something called No-Tox for a few months, which is similar, but there's no toxin, but it really didn't have an effect on me. And so I'm okay with it now. If in the future I feel like I need something done, I wouldn't hesitate to do it. I do believe in a good laser every once in a while.
Yes.
I do. I think that makes a huge difference. And I stopped tanning. I had a tanning bed for years in my house, and I traded it out for a red light bed. And I'm just like, okay, I'm okay. And I think also not having a man in my life really, I think it really helps to not age. I do. I sleep 8 to 9 hours a night. When people ask, that's what I attribute it to. I feel like just not having to worry about, the little things, cleaning up after him or where he's at or what he's doing and who he's doing it with. I feel like that is the biggest anti-aging pill, in my opinion, for me. When people ask me, I'm like, well, I've been single for the last, because I look back 8 years ago and I think, wow, that was a hard time. You're looking hard in those pictures. So, and Maverick agrees. So I want to ask you one last thing. What does a day of eating look like for you and your kids?
So different. My goodness. So let's start with my kids. All of my kids are very different, but they typically are not big breakfast eaters. I primarily cook, they'll have like gluten-free toast in the morning. They're just not big breakfast eaters. So for instance, my son, who's going through some stomach issues, since January, he will fast all day. He fasts the entire day and drinks water, and he'll have a multivitamin drink with B vitamins. And he has his first meal. He'll be 18 next month. He has his first meal about 5 or 6 p.m. And he'll have.
I love that. I love that.
I mean, and he just intuitively, he's had a lot of stomach and digestive issues. So we've cut out the gluten and the dairy. He went 9 months. Tell me what teenager went 9 months without sugar, and he did it for his skin, but he went 9 months without sugar. Now he's a carnivore, but he does like meat. I am not. It's hard for me. They know when they come to mom's house, I'll make them some ground turkey tacos. I'll make like 2 different dishes. I'm not I don't like, I just, I'm not 100% vegan, but I just am so connected to to everything, to the animals, and it's just hard for me. But I really try to give them, I always have. So I just started doing mason jars. So I have organic grapes, organic blueberries. And so it's the fast food in there. They, very simple, gluten-free pasta, they do, like I said, gluten-free quesadilla. I try to do dairy-free, and I sneak the dairy-free cheese on them. And they're like, Mom, why does this cheese taste different? So very simple. They do like fast food at their dad's house. So when they come to Mom's house, they know, I like to make lots of vegetables and then rice, and then they like a certain amount of protein. And I just let them, they all very differently. With me, I love my oat milk latte in the morning. I know that's bad. I do the oat milk without the sugar. And I'll sometimes I'll do 2 half calf with the organic oat milk. And then around, what time is it now? I'll do a greens juice. I'll also do a cayenne, so this one has cucumber, celery, spinach, lemon, ginger, cayenne. So I do have blood sugar issues. So I want to get to the point where I can drink a whole thing of orange juice, because I can't wait. I love coconut water. And then when we jump off, I'll have a big, do you have sweet green where you are? It's like this fresh salad plate.
I don't have anything. I am in the Sonora desert. We have nothing. Just thank you for teasing me and making fun of me secretly. No, we don't have a sweet green. Tell me about it. Let me live vicariously.
So it's called the 𝗏𝗵𝗏, and it's like it's roasted mushrooms. It's this big bowl of like 20 different salad ingredients, of kale, of beets, of pickled onions, mushrooms. I'll get tofu in it, sometimes crushed almonds. I mean, it's just like this delicious bowl of everything all combined. And I'll have that, or I just make nori wraps. I am a weirdo. I love seaweed. I love nori. I love hummus. I'm Greek. My dad's 100% Greek. I'm trying to think, I usually snack on the go, grapes, berries. I like Larabars. There's also some other cleaner.
Do you do fish? Do you do a little?
I do not do sushi. I have not done sushi in, oh my gosh, probably 15 years-ish. I will sometimes do fish once in a blue moon. The older I've gotten, the less I'm drawn to animal protein. And every doctor that I go to even draws my blood. They're like, you need more protein, more protein. So I try to do some organic raw protein. Like I have the, the Sun Warrior. I'll do a smoothie. I love smoothies. I also, I like to eat lighter in the day because as soon as I eat something substantial or heavy, I want to take a nap. So I have to go. And if I eat a bigger, say even just a heavier, fattier meal midday, like I'm a zombie. And then I can't get in the car to run errands. So I usually have sometimes I'll have a heavier meal at night or more of a carb meal at night. I try to food combine. Again, I don't diet, but 90% of it's plant-based, and I would love to be in the kitchen with you. I'm obsessed with your meals and your kitchen, and
I would love to.
I covet your lifestyle. Can I just say it?
Stop, you're so sweet. Okay, we had one question from someone, so I did a poll of what they wanted me to ask you.
Okay.
And I have a question from a lady in Newfoundland, Canada. You have to take a ferry to. So I thought it was cool. Okay, so Sarah asks, she has 2 young kids. How do you deal with when you don't like one of your children's friends, or you think they're a negative influence on one of your kids? That's we can pass and go on to another one if you want. I just want to, if you don't want to answer, you don't have to. How do you deal with it happens. You think someone is a negative influence?
In a nutshell, quickly, one of my children was invited to a house and let them have a play date. And when I went to pick them up, it was a hard no for another play date ever again. And so you just have to set boundaries. Thankfully, my children have very busy schedules. And, I teach them to always be kind to others, even if they do. But, it's that one's a tricky one. That is like, you have to pray about that one. Also, don't be afraid to talk to the parents. If they did something to hurt the friend, or they're doing something like, hey, you know what, we talk about something this way. Like, I know it takes so much maturity and so much courage to go up to a parent and talk to them about something, but I've had to do it. I've definitely had to do it. Or you go to the principal. One of my daughters in third grade was getting bullied in a Christian school, and I had to go to the principal and to the teacher and deal with it. And so you just have to kind of be courageous and do it in love and just set boundaries.
Wow. Okay. We have two more questions, and I'm just going to ask. Skincare routine. What do? You glow like a light bulb. We want to know. You are the sun. We want to know. Is there a 7-step skincare routine, or do you no? Yeah.
No. There's like I said, I micro needle probably 3 micro roll the 𝗏𝗏𝗡 3 or so nights a week. I do a very simple salicylic acid wash. I think it's from the drugstore. And then I use like a glycolic pad, and you can get those anywhere. Ulta Beauty, Sephora, like a glycolic pad that I do as my toner. And then I'll either do a peptide serum or a hyaluronic acid. And then I do some, I'm doing the Laneige, the hydrating overnight mask at night. Very simple. In fact, I need to nurture it. And then I do the microneedling and facials. I try to do that a handful of times a year. I may do one little peel. I have a lot of sun damage. I baked in the sun as a teenager with baby oil and sun in. Very minimal, very minimal.
We love you, Andrea. Andrea, we love you. It's a habit saying Andrea. We love you so much. Is there anything you're promoting right now? I know you have something for entrepreneurs. Do you want to mention that?
Sure. So aside from everything that in the entertainment world, it's a very inconsistent lifestyle financially, and living in Los Angeles and everything. So I really dove in over the pandemic into digital marketing. As you know, every one of your businesses is online. Your clients, your YouTube, all of it is online. So I learned the back end. I took a digital marketing course, and it teaches you how to set up your sales funnel, email campaigns, because really we can run our business by email. We can run it online. We can run it with Facebook ads. So it's just a digital marketing course that teaches you digital marketing for beginners, A to Z, all of that. So it's like going to fast track college and learning how to, my prayer was like, Lord, I need to make money on repeat because I live in my car. I'm in my car 7 hours a day with drop-offs, pickups, carpools. And so I'm sitting in the carpool lane creating ebooks on Canva. You make a product once, boom, you sell it like your detox guides. You can sell it a gazillion times over. So I'm in love and very passionate about entrepreneurs and digital marketing because it can make you millions. And then I also, the health and wellness side of me, I just launched my detox guides. I have a 10-day detox, a 4-week detox, and a fit in 15 minutes guide, and they're all on my website, and that just launched today.
I love that. I love that. Thank you so much for coming on here.
Let's keep in touch. I adore you. I love you, and honestly, I'm your biggest fan. I'm so proud of everything you've done, and I just have to say this because I was looking at some of your content, and I am in awe of your discipline and your consistency. And I just want you to know that you are so humble and have so much integrity and so much elegance when you speak that God is going to expand your platforms. And I just see you continuing to do his work because you are one of the greatest light workers that I've ever crossed paths with. And I sincerely mean that, sincerely. I wish I had that on, but I really do mean that, Andrea. I mean, God is using you, and it shows. You radiate him.
You're going to make me cry. We won't get into it. It's been a tough 2 years you're going to make me cry. Well, you know what happened. So yeah. But hopefully we brought that sector to an end. So Thank you. That means the world to me, really. It does.
And what the enemy means for bad, God will turn it for good, because you were a threat and people were jealous and they wanted to, the devil comes to kill, steal, and destroy. And God came to give you life and to give you an abundant life. And he's got you. He's going to restore everything that was lost and stolen to you.
That's why I asked you when you came to God, because I let God in my heart. Well, when I was really little, when at church camp, but then when I was 28, a couple that does mission work came into my life, Colette and Aaron Muth, and I asked God to come into my heart. But then I think now it's Mushy. She is Christian. She is in church all the time with her husband. And she really stuck with me through the worst of all of this. I mean, she really, really has. So that's why I ask you. It is an ongoing process, isn't it?
And it's painful. It's really painful. And when we're going through these trials, it's so hard to stay in love and in hope when we feel like, oh my gosh, I can't go through another day of whatever we're walking through, whether it's, financially, relationally, health-wise. And it just one day at a time. I tell my kids that, one day at a time. God, just today, just focus on today.
Remember, you're never alone, because you do have God. We are never alone. That's and God is our husband. It says it in the Bible, is our husband until our husband comes along. So who wouldn't want God as your husband? God is your provider. God is your right-hand man. Who wouldn't want that? So yeah, I love you so much. Thank you so much for being here.
Love you, Andrea. Have a beautiful day. And let's, yes, I think you have my number. Please call me anytime. I have so much I want to, pick your brain about. So
ditto. Thank you. Thank you so much. Okay. Talk soon.
Thanks so much for listening. If you'd like to check out Andrea Cox's most recent 4th book, Eat Right for Your Zodiac, it's the first book to ever combine astrology with plant-based eating. Andrea's Akashic record readings, holistic wellness coaching, and intuitive life coaching services are sought out by both celebrities and ordinary, everyday people like Andrea herself. If you'd like to connect with her, you can find her at AndreaCox.com, on YouTube at both Andrea Cox TV and The Detox Intuitive, on Facebook at Andrea Lee Cox, and on Instagram at Raw Chef Andrea.